First, at first, I will give you a bit introduction about what does it mean to analyze the precedent and why it is important, and then I will take you through two portfolios, two best portfolios submitted by our students, just to give you an overview how this will look. And just to, I know many of you communicate with our this year's students. We have certain changes here, and the changes we believe are very positive, because this time you will be analyzing precedents that are directly related to your unit. That was not exactly the case last year. So we have some improvements, which I believe is very positive, and it will make more sense this year. So just to give you, you can use different tools for analyzing things. So for instance, this is anemometer to measure wind speed. This is, you already know, right? It measures temperature and relative humidity. This is moisture meter. You just stick in the needles into wood, and through electricity you find out what is the moisture within that wood. But that's examples I just used for certain of my research, and you can use whatever you want. Some devices we have at school, and we will try to organize whether they will lend them to us within the coronavirus situation. At the moment we won't get to school probably. This is just an example from another of my project, when I had a microphone, I had radio scanner, camera and video camera, and I was analyzing the recordings with different softwares, building them into 3D spaces, analyzing the images and analyzing the relationships, diagramming different registered material, and drawing some conclusions. What you will be doing in this module is will be gigamapping. You've already seen some brief introduction about gigamapping. You will be working collaboratively, but again having your expertise within the areas which will be mainly based on your interests. So gigamaps can involve mind mapping, causal loop model, information visualization, service blueprint, diagramming, scenarios, user journey, collage, rich picture, also timelines. You can be very creative, and you can combine many of the diagramming strategies. The most important is that it consists of items and relations, and you interpret the relations, understand what is the relation. So it means that you don't just draw an arrow, but you have interpretation about that relation. Now I will show you some example how I did my research through actually analyzing precedents. So this was design speculation. That was a competition entry by my practice, where actually the task was to generate gallery space that doesn't take energy, but has a stable climate. And I heard about concept of responsive wood and wanted to apply responsive wood concept. But my colleague said, you know, make 3 years research on responsive wood, and then we can apply it to practice. So I did my PhD in responsive wood. So this is just start of the mapping different of my projects, and mapping openingness and closeness and interactions within different agents within those projects, drawing this gigamap of feedback loops between different agents. If I go closer, so you see you have light response, sound response, radio wave responsive, relative humidity, social interaction, similar different agents doing different actions within these architectural pieces. So I got to understand. I actually analyzed my own designs to get to understand what I'm up to. And this is the responsive screen. I designed the wood responsive screen that this wood warps, and it makes hole in the screen, so the airflow can flow through when you get the climate you want. and the screen is when you have too high relative humidity and too low temperature. So to design that, I had to gigamap certain analysis. I analyzed what wood is actually good to use in terms of sustainability, what is good for the ecosystem, what is good wood to grow, what are the material properties of those of that wood that is good to grow in a certain location, what is the relative humidity of the location, what are the general wood properties, and then also interaction with algae, which I just explained you. What I discovered is actually if you grow algae on wood, it has lower moisture content than if you don't grow it, which means that this wood warps more when it's dry and warm weather, whilst it is not warping the other direction when the relative humidity is high. So that came, of course, from precedent speculation. I didn't start growing algae on that just out of complete speculation. I had this speculation, found the fence which was overgrown by algae and measured its moisture content. So it seemed that I was right, and then I started analyzing it on design. So what is this screen doing? It is airing. This is when it airs when it's half open. This part is when it's aired when it's fully open. And what I again analyzed, what are the properties of breathing walls? So I analyzed through different study journeys. I analyzed different examples of breathing walls. And the argumentation here is that I was actually analyzing breathing walls from more extreme climates, because today we are receiving extreme climate extremes in Central European regions. So I mapped the different examples and mapped their properties and mapped where they are and how actually what is the climate zone and what are the climatic changes and what is the migration of human beings and what are the migrations of other species. I'm sure all of you are aware that species are migrating from the equator because finding different locations because the climate became unbearable in their origins, so they move they find new habitats. So this would be cohabitation with pigeons from Cappadocia, where I mapped different properties, right? So there is like what does it do to climate comfort, cooling, warming, humidifying, drying, different climatic relations, together with what is the kind of space, whether it's semi-interior architectural space or semi-interior urban design space, orientation towards public space, privacy whilst public space overview, then social interaction, cross-species interaction, cross-species co-living, and edible landscape. So I was marking those points and analyzing each of those examples. This is Jali from India. I will not go to details because we don't have too much time. This is breathing wall from Portugal that is actually enabling this fruit tree to grow, because otherwise there would be urban heat island, but it generates ventilation flow. So there would be different examples that are fences or semi-interior working spaces, storing spaces, social spaces, you know, different examples. This is interesting because you can moderate this. You can moderate the climate. You can close it and open it and control the airflow. And there is play with hygroscopicity, so you can get humidified air and so on. So there are examples from different cultures. You can see this example is from Morocco, whilst this example is from Norway, and those breathing screens actually appear in different climate zones, but typically in extreme ones. So just to map the properties. This facade is breathing when it's dry weather and closing when it's humid weather. So all those properties I mapped, and then generated this responsive screen that is actually bridging all those properties, because we have heat climate extremes and cool climate extremes, and too much humidity, and too big droughts in Central European regions for which this screen was designed. So it was synergizing all those properties based on analysis of those precedents. Getting back to the map, right? This is where this is applied for. This is actually vernacular culture, contemporary vernacular culture from Kiev, where people build those semi-interior spaces basically because those balconies became unbearable to stay on. They don't have suitable climate anymore. And this comes from Norwegian culture, for instance. I mean, it appears in many cultures that you have those semi-interior spaces that are moderating the climate. Again, study this time in Norwegian cultures, when you have those unclimatized semi-interior spaces, which you can unfold and close completely, depends on the needs you have at the moment. So I did my first mapping where I registered different parameters. It would be like, what would be the use? What is the openness and closeness of those spaces? Whether they operate along the whole building or just from parts. And then I was measuring the moisture content, the relative humidity and temperature. What is the difference in semi-interior, interior, and exterior spaces? Comparing what is actually the climate penetration through those spaces. After that, that research generated more research questions. So I did this study journey again in Norway, where there is already many more parameters that were registered and measured. I will just scroll to that. That is already a question about cross-species co-living, which actually I've registered through those journeys and different other studies. I will not go deep into that. This is example, similar example from Cappadocia, registering that's a culture that lived together with pigeons. And actually this example is these people lived in cave dwellings. Then they were overrun by Muslim culture that started to build those semi-interior spaces on top. And what is beautiful about that it is Cappadocia is semi-desert climate, which actually it has very cold winters, very hot summers, and then mild spring and autumn. So this Arabic culture lived on the semi-interior spaces during spring and autumn, and lived in the caves built by the previous culture during summer and winter. What this culture was specific is that they lived together with pigeons, which were that were connected by chimneys that generated ventilation flow, thanks to this symbiosis between other species. So this would be the pigeon houses on top, and this would be the human dwellings lower down, and this is interconnected by ventilation chimneys. So I have been studying what is the ventilation flow, what is the orientation, what is I will not go into detail, just to show you gigamapping, which then all of those different analyses of precedents got synergized into competition entry, which where we used the ventilation flows through Cappadocian caves, whilst using the responsive wood concept. So there are different climate zones, airing, generating ventilation flows. So it's just to conclude this part. Architecture design integrates feedback loops. It is a design speculation and it is the analysis. This requires feedback loops of both individual and collaborative approach. So what you will be doing is that you will decide your expertise you want to analyze on your precedents and finding relation, which means, for instance, climate comfort is generated by integration of relative humidity, temperature, and airflow. So by analyzing those, you actually connect those together and find out whether there is good climate comfort or not. Now I would like to get to the presentation, what you will be doing in the analysis of precedents. So similar like in my unit, you will first be asked to draw a minimap of your own interest within the selected precedents, and those precedents will be selected based on your units. So you will be mapping your interests and mapping, going to site, getting real life data and analyzing the field. This will be combined with model making. So you will be making models of your precedents and actually analyzing. You can pick the things you want to analyze, whether it's material, sunlight, things like this. And you will be putting these students analyze the sunlight, for instance. So that you will be putting together into collective gigamap. Again, this time it won't be physical one, it will be in Miro platform, and you will be relating your findings based on your precedents. You will be in the groups. And what we will be doing, every session will start with your presentation, so everybody will get updated by collective knowledge, and you can get shared ideas and gain ideas from each other. So this is the gigamap the students this team developed, synergizing the relative humidity, temperature, culture, color of the facade, material, light. They analyzed different properties based on each student, and had to find the relationships and interpret what those relationships mean together. Getting here, this you will be having writing exercise. This time it won't be essay. You will actually try to write academic paper. The students last year could choose whether they want to write essay or academic paper. This time we will be all trying to advance academic paper. And this year you will be actually reflecting on the methodology, what you have learned through analyzing the precedent. So you would be writing personal reflection through the research you have been doing, through analyzing the precedents, and how you integrate it into your unit. So this student actually did that. He analyzed what was his mapping and how those things realized, and finding, interpreting the relationships, and sort of analyzing the methodology of gigamapping and of his learning curve. And then he developed his essay. I will get to that later. This will be workshop by Shimuraman, who will teach you how to analyze through space syntax. And the space syntax will be for both, for your precedence location and for your unit. So you will learn how to generate space syntax for those two cases, and then compare the two cases and actually have to come with the interpretation, what are the similarities, differences, and so on. This we will skip this year. So there is a summary map when the student summarized what he has been doing, and here he has written individual reflection. That's everybody at the end of the portfolio has to write individual reflection, how this course was useful, what did they learn, what was surprising, what was new, basically writing on reflection, and doing a gigamap of all the exercises that have been done. So then you develop your individual gigamap based on the collaborative knowledge. So you summarize it for your own. So that is one portfolio I would like to, if we have enough, do we have enough time, Federico? I would like to show one more just to show how it can look different.
Yes, you can. Yes, it's possible. Of course, you can extend yourself a bit. Yeah.
We don't have too much time because in 20 minutes I have to be somewhere else. But let's just scroll through, give you an example how this this could be done different way. So this student was analyzing wind ventilation. So this is his minimap when he was mapping with anemometer in St. Fagans. That was that time the precedents. As I said, we will have now precedents related to the unit. He has been studying the field and the locations, starting to understand what is the vortex orientation difference, what is the wind map for the region, things like this. Then he explains what is the methodology of the research, and here again the model making where the students analyzed light, space syntax, and then writing exercise. All students for their writing exercise were asked to draw graphical and abstract to learn how to structure their writing. This is the explanation of the gigamap. What are the different relations, and this is the explanation of his responsibility within the team. And this is his writing exercise where he actually, in this case, he was reflecting on the wind flow, learning more about the field. Whereas this time you will be reflecting on the methodology of analyzing precedents and relating it to the design research. So here he reflects, self-reflects summary, explaining what was his learning part, what he learned, didn't learn, what I asked students to put a critic as well. So it's basically that's a message for me what to improve, and as you see we have improvements this year, so I reflect on what you write will be addressed next year. So this is his references, and this is the gigamap synergizing everything he has been doing within this module. Yes, so that's it. I am happy to take some questions